Hi, everybody.
Hi.
It's us.
Our children being babysat by Mario Kart in the other room right now.
Kirsten's getting really good.
Living her best life.
We wanted to check in as Pastor Mel and Pastor Kevin to let you guys know what we're thinking as far as resuming church in person after quarantine.
I think she won.
Kirsten won. Good job, Kirsten. It's just kind of all crazy right now, but we know everybody's wondering, and we've been in a lot of communication with our superintendent, and Kevin has been super up on, you know him. He's just reading
all the things,
scientific stuff, and I'm like, what does that mean? So he knows from a scientific perspective. If you remember, he has a bachelor's in chemistry, so that helps. But our priority is to keep you guys safe and to keep our community safe, while taking care of our spiritual needs. So with that said, Kevin, do you want to answer some of the questions that people might be asking right now?
Yeah. So the most obvious question would be, hey, when are we starting again? The answer is that we're not sure yet. What I'm thinking, though, is that if there's an official date where they're allowed to be opening. Right now, the Catholic diocese and the state are technically allowed to open Mass this coming Sunday.
Really?
Yeah. They're being recommended to hold off for a little bit, though. I'm going to personally wait until at least 2 weeks after the whole phase 1 thing is implemented. 2 weeks is my choice because that's how long it takes for infections to incubate.
Mm-hmm.
And frankly, I just want to make sure that you all are safe. And if it means we wait 2 more weeks and everything's fine, then great. I'll see you on Sunday. If we wait those 2 weeks and then suddenly there's lots of people heading to the hospital, I'm going to be really glad we held off.
Mm-hmm.
So whatever date the official kind of opening date is, we'll probably wait another 2 weeks beyond that.
After the second wave of any infections.
Just to make sure that there's not going to be a second wave and just to make sure that it's actually safe to open up.
Mm-hmm.
The next question is what are we going to be doing differently? What might we be doing to keep people safe? When it comes time, what I'd like to see is not only us to take some time and clean the church before we all come back, but I'd also like people to volunteer to clean before and after church each Sunday. And I'd even like a couple people to be wiping down commonly touched areas during the service and while people are there.
Mm-hmm.
There are going to be some other things like encouraging all doors to stay propped open, including the sanctuary doors and the front door of the church, just so we don't have those doorknobs getting touched. Making sure bathrooms are propped open as well. Just don't peek in there, be polite. But yeah, making sure all of those commonly touched areas are taken care of.
And for communion?
Yeah, and then the big one is communion and how that's going to be different. We do have a communion set that many of you will remember that has individual serving cups. We do have some of those still in the church that we just haven't used. So we will not be using the common cup, just to be careful. We'll be using the individual servings and pre-cut bread that we can prepare with. We can chop it up with gloves on and things like that. I would also say if you're concerned about communion, you are welcome to bring your communion elements to church with you, just like we've been doing. And we will bless all of the communion elements in the sanctuary. And then, if you want to take it in your seat and not come forward, that is absolutely up to you. And God can bless your bread brought from home, just like he can bless the bread that we chopped up. Bread the bless.
And even as far as when we're gathering, I mean, in this scenario, being a small church is actually really a benefit for us all along, because we've been kind of small and nimble and able to connect and keep tabs on everyone and make sure we're well and even gather virtually together in online church. So I hope if you're not already joining us that you would consider calling in or zooming in with your phone or your computer. And we may, I don't know, if this keeps going for a while, our conference superintendent has actually said this could extend to the fall. This could extend to next year. So we're really looking long term. We're not just okay, we're going to open June 1st. We will probably be meeting virtually at least through June.
Probably.
Would you think?
Yeah. I would be surprised if we open for our first in-person service in June.
And if we open, we could even need to gather in, if they're allowing 10 or 20 people in a gathering, we could ask a few of you to host 10 or 20 people in your home, and we could have 3 or 4 house church gatherings until we're able to meet again in person. We do recognize that this has solidified that we cannot give up meeting together. We have to be together. Good job, Kirsten. We have to be together in person as the people of Christ, and there's a physicality to our spiritual practice, like that can't be replaced in any way other than being together. And so I hope that once people start gathering again, that you'll begin to do that on your own, that you'll begin to have church people, have unchurched people into your home, have conversations around God and Scripture and prayer. And it's as easy as that. If you need help with that, we are here. We would love to help you facilitate a house church gathering in the meantime. What was I going to ask you about? Are we going to still do virtual church? Because I think there's been tons of benefit of virtual church or online church, because we're not virtual human beings, right? We're real human beings. So online church has been great because it's allowed people who either may never come to a church building because they're intimidated, or they think the building will burn down if they step foot in the doors, or maybe they just hate getting up on Sunday morning. We feel you.
It's been great for us, frankly, to be like at 9:30 in our home going, we're done with breakfast. Time to start the Zoom. Like, it's been really, holy. Well, and I think what it's done for me is it's made me realize what the essential parts of gathering together are, and maybe what parts of our Sunday routines that we've been doing that haven't been helping us connect. They've just been extra work to do.
Yeah.
And so I'm looking forward to getting to meet together in person, but also to meet together in person in a way that allows us to focus on connecting with one another as the reason for gathering together, to connect to one another and to connect to God in ways that we can't on our own. And I think that's going to be a really interesting transition. I think there are some lessons that we've learned in this time of virtual church or online church that have kind of like, they're going to change how things look for the future. There is no going back to the way things were.
And that's for the better.
And I think that means that we've learned something and that we are better for having had this experience, at least in some ways.
Yeah. Like you said, in a response to some questions, the Monroe News was asking him, he said, this has resulted in a unique opportunity where there isn't really a front pew or a back pew or even a pulpit up front, but where we're all together worshiping in the same way. It's been a great way to communicate with one another in new ways. I've been really refreshed by being able to communicate in ways like this, or writing more emails to just stay in touch with you all. We are eager to get back together in person. We're eager to see you guys forming your own soul care circles, your own band, where you're banding together for the sake of confession, spiritual formation, and prayer. We have been preaching that for years now, band meetings especially for the last year. So this is not something new, but I think quarantine times have helped us, all of us, to realize we have to do this together, have to have people checking in on us, have to have confession and faith circles. So don't be complacent. We can't force you to do this, just like you can't force your kid to, you can, but it goes really badly.
Force feeding broccoli doesn't work.
Like, you can shove it down their throat, but eventually they just have to go to bed hungry and they're going to eat it next time. So I hope that you desire soul care. I hope that you desire spiritual formation in community with a few others, and that you do that on your own. That you say, hey friend, join me. Hey, will you ask me these questions every week? Hey, you who've never been to church before, but you ask good questions about God, would you join us too? They don't have to be church people. Everyone needs
they're not.
Yeah.
I think that
you maybe don't even need to know them well.
I think a bunch of church people, we tend to be an echo chamber.
Yeah.
Because, let's be honest, by picking a church on Sunday morning, you kind of are selecting for people who think like you do.
Yeah.
Because you all like the same music, you all like the same kind of preaching, you all like you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And so I think that one of the benefits of pulling in people from outside our church community is that you get people who ask questions that might not have occurred to you. And so now you're like, oh, that's a great question. And I think that the best benefit we have in diversity of people is that we have better quality questions that come up.
Yeah.
And I think the questions and the thinking and the pondering, instead of rushing straight to the answer, I think the questions are some of the most valuable faith-building aspects of talking together and meeting together. And so that's maybe kind of a side note, is besides the whole COVID thing, is find friends who ask good questions about the faith, and then sit down and ask good questions together. And if you don't have answers, that's fine.
Start.
Questions are the beginning point. So start there.
And I realize that we didn't answer the question. Are we going to still have virtual church after all this, after we gather together? And we're going to still, I think we're going to plan on doing that. We're going to plan on maybe doing Zoom calls for people who can't be in person, or at the very least doing Facebook Live, and having someone in charge of like responding to questions in real time. Because sometimes people are homesick, or your kids aren't up yet and you want to be at church, and you know, who knows? There's a million, or maybe you're out of town. Maybe you have friends who live in different parts of the country and want to be a part of our church. They can do that online. So I guess we have a lot to talk about, and we could probably talk for like an hour just about anything.
We're not going to do that, though.
Anything that comes up in our heads. Is there anything else that we did not cover? I think that's about it. But we are praying for you guys, and we are really, really proud to be a part of Monroe Free Methodist Church during this time. The last year or so has been really hard on me, especially, but both of us, for a number of reasons, especially even church-wise. But we want to model the kind of life we want you to model, which is have the hard conversations, stick with it, keep showing up even when it's hard, and God will bless that. So I think God is blessing our commitment and your commitment to be God's people together, and this has been a really fruitful time in our church and in our community. I'm proud of you guys. Keep showing up to church online, monroefmc.com/Sunday. I hope you know that by now. And if you know someone who hasn't been able to connect, or you know someone who would find hope in community with other people who are trying to find God together, invite them. Please invite them. They need to hear from you. So, we hope you have a great day, and I think that's it.
Peace out.
Peace.